Your Excellencies, probably the two most famous governors of the 1999 to 2007 era, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the afternoon is fast spent, and so I'd like us to get into the core business of today, which is unveiling this great book and buying the book. But I need to make a few comments so that you'll understand why I will invite you to buy the book. The book, as everyone has said, is an autobiography, which is supposed to be the life history of Chief Clement Ofuani. And it does that. It does that very well. As an autobiography, it vividly captures the man himself, brilliant, meticulous, an avid reader, hardworking, loyal, highly dependable to his wife, to his family, to his friends, and to everybody who has hired him to do a job. You will find all of that, from his childhood to his last public office in the presidency. But that's not the only reason you are going to buy this book. It is in fact not the reason you will buy the book. The book does much, much more than this. He has held quiet, backroom, but center stage political positions. Quiet, backroom, but center stage. And you've listened to a lot of people who have spoken. He served for 8 years under His Excellency J.I. He served for 2 years as Chief Economic Advisor to Governor Dwah. Then he went on and followed his close friend, and I'll talk about him very briefly shortly, and went on to the presidency. Olorogun David Edeve, most people do not know, was Chief of Staff to President Yaradua. The title Chief of Staff was abolished, and he was called Principal Secretary to the President, PSP. But really, he was Chief of Staff. He was the powerhouse of the Yaradua presidency, and his deputy was Chief Clement Ofuani. And as Olorogun said, even after Yaradua's death, Chief Clement continued in that same position under Jonathan until the end of Jonathan's first term in 2011. Then he came back here, even after contesting the primaries against Dr. Koa, was appointed as the pioneer DG of this Capital City Development Authority. It was just created. So you will see that through 8 years under His Excellency J.I., a total of 6 years under 2 other governors, and about 3 years under two presidents, you will see that the real essence of this book, beyond his life history, is actually to educate all of us about the interplay of politics, governance, their failures, and their successes. And I'll give you a couple of examples. You will see in this book, in the 2.5, 3 years that he served with Olorogun, David Edeve, as the powerhouse of the Yaradua presidency, that unknown to most Nigerians, I think death robbed us of the one man that probably would have been our best president yet. But you also see in the book that politics suffocates governance. Planning and plans execution give way to short-term political applause. You will see it in several areas. At state level, at federal level, what would have been carefully planned and executed initiatives are suffocated by the need for immediate political applause. Maybe just one or two examples. There was a clear attempt to reinvigorate the war report and make it a combination of the war report and this environment to make it a major contributor to the economy of Delta State. Politics suffocated that attempt. War report has remained of sub-optimal performance 17 years after His Excellency J.I. left office. It has remained the same way. There was a review, there was an attempt, actually concluded attempt by President Yaradua to review the revenue allocation formula and actually pay attention to the federalism that everybody has been screaming about. Again, we're talking 15 years ago. We're still speaking about the review of the revenue allocation formula. Even this city, the Capital City Development Authority that Chief Clement headed, came up with the most brilliant idea for a master plan that will address the long-term nature and position of this capital city and its contribution to the economy of Delta State. Approved by the Executive Council, was never implemented. The development of this capital city still remains largely ad hoc, even up to today. So what am I saying? This book talks about the life and times of Chief Clement Ofuani. But more importantly, through serving in the heart of the governments of 3 governors and 2 presidents, you will understand from this book, much more than just his life history, you will understand the interplay of politics and governance. In fact, you will understand why we are where we are as a nation due to the failures of that interplay of politics and governance, and more importantly, the fact that too often politics suffocates governance. It is therefore my pleasure, Your Excellency, J.I., and I forgot to mention that the largely unsurpassed performance of His Excellency J.I. till today, 17 years after he left office, is attributable in large part, probably entirely, to the economic management team that Olorogun, David Edeve, and Chief Clement Ofuani created and managed for 8 years. Which is what His Excellency was alluding to when he said, when you take political office, look for the best men and put them in the core positions that make decision-making easy for you. You can now understand why His Excellency J.I. has refused to understand why Delta State does not understand why he insisted that Olorogun David Edeve should be governor. He can't understand it because he knows what they were under his cabinet and what they contributed to his success and what they were even at the presidency and what they contributed to President Yaradua's presidency and his successes. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you'll be doing yourself a lot of disservice if you don't buy this book and read it in your own interest, for your own education, so that you understand this country and this state much, much better.